Hi, welcome back to an episode of the Great Book Club in the Book Club. Yeah! And today, guys, we're an extremely special episode. Because today, we're episode number 353. Guys, 353, guys. Let's celebrate it, guys. We're getting strong each day. So, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're not familiar with the channel, welcome back. My name is Zach, and I'm the host. And on this podcast, guys, we are working together on our English speaking level, and on our communication skills to stand in front of the camera and communicate well from the camera. I'm doing so because I truly believe that English is the number one tool that each one of us master and grow and learn to be successful in life. And the second tool that is going to help us a lot is to know how to get well from the camera. And guys, if you take those skills and you combine them together, you can create great content to the internet, and you can influence billions of people all around the world. So it's highly recommend to work with those stuff to become better at that. And show me the world. And I open that by sharing with you guys my own journey, my ups and downs, my failures, my success, the obstacles that I was facing from podcasting 5 from and doing, and in the way of podcasting 5 extremely starting episodes per week. I inspire people like you, the ladies and gentlemen that are watching the podcast like you, to also do the same, to show the world in work in English and inspire the world, make a difference because you are matter. And today, guys, we got this dragon behind me. Come to celebrate 353 episodes of the Great Book in the World. And guys, if you want to check out this great background, you can find it on 3, 2, 1, kabam. That's right, you can find it on Good Fun. It is great background, I put Good Fun. My name is Cisco 1701. And it's uploaded to Good Fun on the 2nd of November 2019, and it's downloaded only 970 times. And guys, of course, we like it. There's a great picture. And if you want to download the picture, just need to choose the resolution from here. Press download. Right click on the picture. Go to Shmirat Hashem in Hebrew, pictures in English, and type down how you want it in all language, and all of us, the community. We're going to play a really nice game. Excuse me. It's called Guess from where I am, on the board, and we need to guess from where on the board based on your letters. Press on Shema on the Shem and set picture S. Choose very well to save it on the computer. Press 7. Just like that, you will get this great background on the computer. So thank you very much for the artists who made this great background, and thank you very much for Cisco 1701 for sharing this with us. And guys, and while we are here, I noticed that I didn't change the episode of today. Today it's episode number 477. File, save picture, save as. Choose where I want to save it. Send to JPEG. Select the previous, yeah. And now you can see, wait a minute. Damn, you see, change over here. So yeah, that is the secret of why I'm doing my background. And guys, today we continue our journey with influence, the psychology of persuasion by Robert the great book. I learned a lot from it each episode. I learned so much from it, and I can't just start the episode. So guys, if you want to check out this great background, or if you want to check out the book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, and Robert D. Kennedy social media accounts, you got everything in the description below, so make sure to check them out, tag them, and learn from them. And guys, you're most welcome. If anyone of you needs to know from me, for myself, or the podcast, or if anyone of you want to come to the podcast today again, so the podcast, share your message with the world, inspire the world, and make a difference, because you over here. Please let me know the comment below so we can arrange it. And I'm really nice game in English, so let's have a great time together. And guys, if any one of you, and of course, guys, you're most welcome. If any one of you learn something new from the channel, maybe something that I said, or from the book, or maybe you have your own lessons that you learned from somewhere else, please, guys, share it before the community in the comment section below. So the community can enrich your life and improve yourself. Thanks to you. So thank you very much in advance. And one last thing, guys, before we start with the book, if you enjoyed the process, if you like this video, if you learned something new with the channel, please consider to share your support by liking the video, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel, and push the notification bell so you're notified ding on each of this extremely exciting episode on coming to YouTube. And now it's going to be 5 extremely exciting episodes per week. So let's go, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks from your own side, and it's really going to make a big impact on me. So thank you very much if you can do it. And today, guys, is Monday, 2nd of May, 2022, and time now is 1227. And total sub counts of this channel, we got 2 subscribers. So shout out to you guys, you're great. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. And we got total views of 350. I don't know. Yesterday we got 351. I don't know, you can decrease your views, but this is how you see it in my on YouTube, on the info about the channel. You can check it here by yourself. And the current episodes that are going to be released today, it's episode 347 on 20 p.m. Israeli time is going to be released. So guys, yeah, that's right. And guys, without introduction, let's just dive right into the book. So guys, let's move to the book. So Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini, read by the legend of Banamon is a many please. Yes, John, please. So boy, okay, yeah. So let's go. So guys, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini, page 122 to 126 on the PDF, and you just need to download to I don't know how to say it, minus 10 pages, and you will find the page on the actually book. It's page 112 to 117, and continue with the stories about the suicide. And now if you found it in the page, just move in. I consider this insight brilliant. First, it explains all of the data beautifully. If those works really are hidden at an instance of initiative suicide, it makes sense that we should see an increase in the breaks after suicide stories appear. And it makes sense that the greatest rise in breaks should occur after the suicide stories that have been most widely publicized and have consequently reached the most people. And it makes sense that the number of crashes should jump appreciably only in those geographical areas where the suicide stories were publicized. And it even makes sense that single victim suicides should lead only to single victim crashes. Whereas multiple victim suicide incidents should lead only to multiple victim crashes. Imitation is the key. But there is a second valuable feature of Philip's insight. Not only does it allow us to explain the existing effects, it also allows us to predict new facts that had never been uncovered before. For example, if the abnormally frequent crashes following publicized suicides are generally due to initiative rather than accidental actions, they should be more deadly as a result. That is, people trying to kill themselves will likely arrange with a foot on the accelerator instead of the brake, with the nose of the plane down instead of up, for the impact to be as lethal as possible. The consequence should be quick and sure death. When Phillips examined the records to check on his prediction, he found that the average number of people killed in a fatal crash of a commercial airline is more than 3 times greater if the crash happened 1 week after a front-page suicide story than if it happened 1 week before. A similar phenomenon can be found in traffic statistics, where there is evidence for the deadly efficiency of a post-suicide story auto crashes. Victims of fatal car wrecks that follow front-page suicide stories die 4 times more quickly than normal. Still, another fascinating prediction flaws from Phillips' idea. If the increase in wrecks following suicide stories truly represents a set of copycat deaths, then the imitators should be most likely to copy the suicides of people who are similar to them. The principle of social proof states that we use information about how others have behaved to help us determine proper conduct for ourselves. But as a dropped wallet experiment showed, We are most influenced in this fashion by the actions of others like us. Therefore, Phillips reasoned, therefore, Phillips reasoned, if the principle of social proof is behind the phenomenon, there should be some clear similarity between the victim of the highly publicized suicide and those who cause subsequent wrecks. Realizing that the clearest test of this possibility would come from the records of automobile crashes involving a single car and a lone driver. Phillips compared the age of the suicide story victim with the ages of the lone drivers killed in single car crashes immediately after the story appeared in print. Once again, the predictions were strikingly accurate. When the newspaper detailed the suicide of a young person, it was young drivers who then propelled their cars into trees, poles, and embankments with fatal results. But when the news story concerned an older person's suicide, ordinary drivers died in such crashes. This last statistic is a crusher for me. I am left body convinced and simultaneously body amazed by it. Evidently, the principle of social proof is so wide-ranging and powerful that its domain extends to the fundamental decision for life or death. Professor Phillips' findings have persuaded me of this distressing tendency for suicide publicity to motivate certain people who are similar to the victim to kill themselves because they now find the idea of suicide more legitimate. Truly frightening are the data indicating that many innocent people die in the bargain. A glance at the graphs documenting the undeniable increase in traffic and air fatalities following publicized suicides, especially those involving murder, is enough to cause a concern for one's own safety. I have been sufficiently affected by those statistics to begin to take note of front page suicide stories and to change my behavior in the period after their appearance. I try to be especially cautious behind the wheel of my car. I am reluctant to take extended trips requiring a lot of fair travel. If I must fly during such a period, I purchase substantially more flight insurance than I normally would. Dr. Phillips has done us a service by demonstrating that the odds for survival when we travel change measurably for a time following the publication of certain kinds of front page suicide stories. It would seem only prudent to play those odds. As if the frightening features of Phillips' suicide data weren't enough, is the subsequent research brings more cause for alarm. Homicides in this country have stimulated copycat character after highly publicized acts of violence. Heavyweight championship prize fights that receive coverage on network evening newspaper news on network evening news appear to produce measurable increases in the U.S. homicide rate. This analysis of heavyweight championship fights between 1973 and 1978 is perhaps most compelling in its demonstration of the remarkably specific nature of the initiative aggression that is generated. When such a match was lost by a black fighter, the homicide rate during the following 10 days rose significantly for young black male victims, but not young white males. On the other hand, when a white fighter lost a match, it was young white men, but not young black men who were killed more frequently in the next 10 days. When those results are combined with the parallel findings in Phillips' suicide data, It is clear that widely publicized aggression has a nasty tendency to spread to similar victims, no matter whether the aggression is inflicted on the self or on another. Work like Dr. Phillips helps us appreciate the episode influence of the behavior of similar others. Once the enormity of that force is recognized, it becomes possible to understand perhaps the most spectacular act of compliance of our time. The mass suicide at Johnston, Guyana. Certain crucial features of that event deserved review. The People's Temple was a cult-like organization that began in San Francisco and drew its recruits from the poor of the city, and drew its recruits from the poor of that city. In 1977, the Reverend Jim Jones, who was the group's undisputed political, social, and spiritual leader, moved the bulk of the membership with him to a jungle settlement in Guyana, South America. There, the People's Temple existed in relative obscurity until November 1978, when formation of a fact-finding party led by Congressman Leo J. Ryan were murdered as they tried to leave Johnstown by plane. Convinced that he would be arrested and implicated in the killings and that the demise of the People's Temple would result, John started to control the end of the temple in his own way. He gathered the entire community around him and issued a call for each person's death in an uninvited act of self-destruction. The first response was that of a young woman who calmly approached the now famous vat of strawberry-flavored poison, administered one dose to your baby, one to herself, damn, and then sat down in a field where she and her child died in convulsion, convulsions, within 4 minutes, damn. Others followed steadily in turn. A handful of Johnstoners escaped rather than comply, and a few others are reported to have resisted. The survivors claim that the great majority of the 910 people who died did so in an orderly, willful fashion. News of the event shocked us. The broadcast media and the papers provided a barrage of reports, updates, and analysis. For days, our conversations were full of the topic. How many have they found dead now? A guy who escaped says they were drinking the poison like they were hypnotized or something. What were they doing it down in South America anyway? It's so hard to believe. What caused it? Yes, what caused it is the critical question. How are we to account for how are we to account for this most standing of compliant acts? Various explanations have been offered. Some have focused on the charisma of Jim Jones, a man whose style allowed him to be loved like a savior, trusted like a father, and treated like an emperor. Other explanations have pointed to the kind of people who were attracted to the People's Temple. They were mostly poor and uneducated individuals who are willing to give up their freedoms of thought and action for the safety of a place where all decisions will be made for them. Still, other explanations have emphasized the quasi-religious nature of the People's Temple, in which unquestioned faith in the course leader was a standardized priority. No doubt each of those features of Johnston as merit in explaining what happened there, but I do not find them sufficient. After all, the world abounds with cults populated by dependent people who are led by a charismatic figure. What is more, there, there has never been a shortage of this combination of circumstances in the past. Yet virtually nowhere, yet virtually nowhere, nowhere, nowhere do we find evidence of an event even approximating the Johnston incident among such groups. There must be something else that was critical. One especially revealing question gives us a clue. If the community had remained in San Francisco, would Rev Jim Jones' suicide command have been obeyed? A highly speculative question to be sure. But the expert most familiar with the people with the People's Temple has no doubt about the answer. Dr. Louis Jolion West, Dr. Louis Jolion West, chairman of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at UCLA and the director of its neuropsychiatric unit, is an authority on cults who had observed the People's Temple for 8 years prior to the Johnston deaths. When interviewed in the immediate aftermath, he made what strikes me as an inordinately instructive statement. That wouldn't have happened in California, but they lived in total alienation from the rest of the world in a jungle situation in a hostile culture. Although lost in the welter of commentary following the tragedy, Dr. West's observation, together with what we know about the principle of social proof, seems to me quite important to a satisfactory understanding of the compliant suicides. To my mind, the single act in the history of the People's Temple that most contributed to the members' mindless compliance that they occurred a year earlier with the relocation of the temple to a jungled country of unfamiliar customs and strange people. If we are to believe the stories of Jim Jones's malevolent genius, he realized fully the massive psychological impact such a move would have on his followers. All at once, they found themselves in a place they knew nothing about, South America, and the rainforest of Ghana, especially were unlike anything they had experienced in San Francisco. The country, both physical and social, into which they were dropped must have seemed dreadfully uncertain. Uncertainty, the right-hand man of the principle of social proof. We have already seen that when people are uncertain, they look to the actions of others to guide their own actions. In the line, Guyanese environment, then, temple members were very ready to follow the lead of others. But as we have also seen, it is others of a special kind whose behavior will be most unquestionably followed. Similar others. And therein lies the awful beauty of the Reverend Jim Jones relocation strategy. In a country like Ghana, there were no similar others for a Johnstown resident, but the people of Johnstown itself. What was right for a member of the community was determined to a disproportionate degree by what other community members influenced heavily by Jones, didn't believe. When viewed in this light, the charitable orderliness, the lack of panic, the sense of calm with which those people move to the vat of poison and to that and to the depths, seems more comprehensible. They hadn't been hypnotized by Jones. They had been convinced, partly by him, but more important also by the principle of social proof that suicide was correct conduct. The uncertainty they surely felt upon first hearing the death command must have caused them to look to those around them for a definition of the appropriate response. It is particularly worth noting that they found two impressive pieces of social evidence, each pointing in the same direction. It is particularly worth noting that they found two impressive pieces of social evidence, each pointing in the same direction. The first was the initial set of their compatriots, who quickly and willingly took the poison draft. There will always be a few such fanatically obedient individuals in any strong leader dominated group. Whether in this instance they had been especially instructed beforehand to serve as examples, or whether they were just naturally the most compliant with Jones's wishes, is difficult to know. No matter, the psychological effect of the actions of those individuals must have been potent. If the suicides of similar others in your stories can influence total strangers to kill themselves, imagine how enormously more compelling such an act would be when performed without hesitation by one's neighbors in a place like Johnstown. The second source of social evidence came from the reactions of the crowd itself. Given the conditions, I suspect that what occurred was a large-scale instance of the pluralistic ignorance phenomenon that frequently infects onlookers at emergencies. Each Johnstoner looked to the actions of surrounding individuals to assess the situation and finding seeming calm because everyone else too was superstitiously assessing the reason then reacting. Learned that patient tone taking was the correct behavior. Such means such misinterrupted but nonetheless convincing social evidence would be expected to result precisely in the ghastly proportion of the assemblage that waited in the tropics of Guinea for business-like death. Damn. A strong episode, guys. Really strong episode. Damn, it was a really strong episode. And guess what, guys? This is the end of the episode. So guys, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate the fact that you choose to invest your time for me, and I wish you the best, guys. And don't commit suicide, guys. Keep living, be strong, and I can't wait to see you all on the next episode. The next episode. The guys book מדבר זה יקבול, אבל תני זה וגן time take off ספר. Bye. Well, today it's Monday, 2nd on May 2022, and time now is 12:53, and I have to go to class, but then the book. I didn't know that it's going to talk it's going to talk about this serious stuff. But it's a good example because it's a drastic example that stay in my mind. So, yeah. סט בתשמות. יום שני, 2 במאי 2022, שעכשיו היא 12:53, יאללה, חייב ללכת לשיעור אמנות. אולי איזה פרק חזק, זה כאילו נושאים חזקים, אבל נכנסים לך לראש, שיהיה ברכה והצלחה. יאללה, מחר היום נצטרך לחזור לבית, מחר בזיכרון, חיילים. אנחנו צריכים, יאללה, להתראות, להתראות, לעזור לבוא בטקס, ביי.